Jesus, it's packed.
Yeah, go down the back there, so. Welcome to the Snug with Richie and Lavin. Hello, and welcome. This is the Shnug podcast, podcast from the west coast of Ireland, where we interview all types of folks from all types of life, talk about their interests, their side hustles, their passions, and get to know a little bit about them. That's the crack now anyway. How's yourself?
I'm great. You're Richie.
I'm Richie.
And I'm Lavin.
You're Lavin.
Yeah.
Do we usually do that?
Yeah.
Do we? Alright.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I've noticed that. But yeah, I'm grand. I'm good.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Not too bad now. So this is the first one we've recorded actually since the release, isn't it?
It is, yeah. No,
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. We're getting some decent feedback anyway. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. We're actually we've rechristened ourselves as well.
Yeah, we're the Shnug
Shnug.
instead of the Snug.
The Shnug with a H.
I think there's some other podcast out there called the Snug.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that.
Huh? So we're the Shnug.
And we found out about that a little bit too late.
A little too late.
Yeah.
So sorry, other podcasts that have the same name.
Any crack? How are you?
I am grand. Yeah, I just had the old exhibition there.
Yeah.
And it went great.
Where did you have it?
In Tubber, County Clare. And every seat in the house was filled. It was more of a multimedia thing. So we had, a video that we had edited. And lighting and sound and musicians and the paintings themselves. And it turned out great. I was happy out.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, it was a good night.
It was a good night. And then we went to the pub afterwards. It
Yeah.
was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So, but it was successful. Probably do something like that again in the future. I have a feeling I'll do kind of multimedia shows every now and again, but I'll probably do more like like classic, putting your paintings up in a studio. Not studio, like a fucking gallery.
Yeah.
People come in, look at the paintings, have a bit of wine. There was no wine at this thing, which was fucking weird.
There was only tea.
There was only tea. It was
Tea and
strange.
biscuits.
Like, but at the same time, it's just, I guess that's the gallery didn't have the gallery space was beautiful and amazing. It was one of the best
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
spaces I've been in.
It's an old church, was it?
An old converted Protestant church.
Oh.
So, but for some reason there was no wine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we got enough in the pub afterwards.
Sure, we weren't there that long that you'd be missing it.
No, exactly. It was about an hour long, one night only kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I'm going to Netherlands on Saturday. I've never been before.
Have you never not been before? No.
Never been. Have you been?
I have. Yeah.
Where? Amsterdam?
Only Amsterdam.
Of course. I'm not even going there. I'm going to Eindhoven.
You're probably better off.
I think so.
It
Yeah.
was fine, but it was very much lads' weekend in Amsterdam.
Yeah, Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The crack in Amsterdam. What's that? You know that one, the Christy Moore song?
Oh yeah.
The weekend that we had in Amsterdam, or whatever the fuck it goes.
But it was it was fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do a weekend like that again, to be honest.
No,
with you.
sure. I really don't really do much of the things that happen in Amsterdam anymore. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I really couldn't care less.
We just
Huh?
walked around town really for
did you?
hours and just like had a few jazzy cigarettes and
Oh, the jazzy cigarettes,
That's
yeah.
about it. Like
Yeah,
you get a
see.
few overpriced beers and that's about it. Like
Yeah, I wish I was like 24, and like then it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm happy to go to Eindhoven,
Yeah, it's like Disneyland when you're 24. I'm sure.
hang out with my Dutch friends who
Yeah.
can't fucking say their S's. The Dutch, they all have that kind of, they really do have that way of speaking.
Smoking a pancake.
Yeah, but they're fucking great crack. I've noticed the Dutch can sort of understand that you're taking the piss, where they're very like the Germans, but the Germans don't understand you're taking the piss. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Germans are very why you say this thing? The thing you say there doesn't, but the Dutch are like, oh yeah, I
they're
get
very
you,
literal.
I get you. So
At times.
yeah, just generalizing,
So you're
other
heading off on
other cultures here.
You're heading off on Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So it should be good fun.
Yeah, it sounds fairly civilized, to be honest. Sure.
Yeah, we'll see how civilized it is. I'll let you know in the next, because we're recording the very next day I get back, aren't we?
Potentially, yeah.
Well, I'll let you know how civilized
Yeah,
it was.
well, I'll know when I see you. But yeah, sure. To get the show rolling, today we're joined by Jimi Mc Donnell. He is a writer and musician from Tuam, Galway, and who has just released a book of poetry called After Them. How are you, Jimmy?
Hey, how are you? Good to be in the Shnug.
Thanks very much for joining us. Any crack? How are you keeping?
Keeping well now. Yeah. I'm reading in my hometown in Tuam on Saturday. So today is Wednesday.
What are you reading?
I'll be reading from the book.
The good book.
The good book. Yeah, my own take on the good book. So that'll be great. It's I've already had a physical launch in Charlie Burns, so that was my own little version of I don't know, playing Tuam Stadium or something like that.
It was a great night as well, actually. To be honest.
It was great. But I wanted to do something in Tuam because that's where I'm from, and there's a few people there who didn't make the launch in Galway that I'd like to kind of have come along.
Yeah. You're Tuam born and bred then, kind of, are you?
Yeah. I lived there till I was 18, and I went off to college. But Tuam is where I'm from. I said I'd probably go back there every week to see my dad. Still have friends there, and it's definitely even though like I haven't lived there in a long time, I always say that I'm from there because Tuam's a special place. It's a state of mind, and you kind of have to let people know you're from there.
A state of mind. That's a good way of putting it. All right.
The people always ask me, and everyone always brings up the Saw Doctors, huh?
Yeah.
What's your take on them?
I love them. I absolutely love them.
Of course you do. Fuck yeah.
Well, my brother is a touring member of the band now. So, kind of, it's funny how life comes around. Like, he started playing music quite young. When he was 13, he opened for the Saw Doctors. He was in a band called the Colons.
Okay, yeah.
The Saw Doctors are playing a huge gig in Tuam Stadium at the kind of peak of their fame. Nolly was playing there, and kind of 30 odd years later he's in the band.
That's brilliant.
But the Docs are great, and have always been very encouraging of other artists in Tuam. I've always brought bands from Tuam on the road with them, like Strange Boats, the Ralphs, Nolly when he was doing his solo stuff. I think they're great. I kind of think, up until recently, I think they're kind of underrated. I think they're
absolutely, yeah.
They're N17 is the greatest song about immigration written, really. Irish immigration certainly, and but it got kind of performed as part of a New Year's Eve thing, and it's. And I think they should be seen live. They're just, a big fan.
Yeah,
it's, what you could bump into them. Say you're walking on this,
of course,
in Tuam, and you'd be like, right, that lad's in a band. I can ask him about being in a band. Where should I buy my guitars? How do I tune my guitar? I suppose when you're getting into words, asking him about lyrics. And it was just a very it wasn't like you were at home watching MTV. You were like, well, there's the Saw Doctors, and sure, I can have a lash at that. Now I went to a school. Now I had a fine time at school. It wasn't a bad place or anything, but it was like Jarlath's, which was like football was religion.
Yes, of course.
But when you were in Tuam and you had someone like the Saw Doctors, and you were kind of leaning towards an artistic side of things, it was very accessible. It wasn't some kind of arty-farty, airy-fairy thing. It was like, okay, well, you can also do this thing,
There's nothing like a Saw Doctors gig, to be honest.
No, there isn't. It's
they're
phenomenal.
Fantastic live, to be honest with you.
First time I seen him was Oxygen, like 2007, I think.
Wow. I was there.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Were you in the crowd?
I was.
I was. We had gotten it had they were like the first act on that day.
Yeah.
And so we ran down, and I had a bottle of vodka hidden in my underpants.
Wow.
And there was a when they frisk you on the way in, it was like, I went up to the lady, and she just looks down, and she's like, really? I'm like, it's all me. She's like, all right, come on through. So we run down as they're playing. I think they're playing N17. They're playing like one of the hits, and we run down there, and we get right to the front of the stage, and we find a Mayo flag just on the ground. Pick it up, bring it up. Oh, it was brilliant. Just held that the whole fucking gig. And then they had on Bebo shared a picture of like a shot from the stage of the audience, and sure enough, there we were with the fucking Mayo flag.
Happy days.
None of us were Mayo, like, but
you
keeping them happy.
Absolutely.
What you call it? Yeah, remember when they played down on the docks for the Volvo Ocean Race? Jeez, that was crazy. You know, jeez, it must have been about 5,000-6,000 people there.
I'd say so, yeah.
Everybody doing Tommy K.
Yeah.
So, would you have come from a musical background then, the family?
Well, I suppose I grew up in a house that like, I suppose that my friends, my parents would have had friends over, and they had, I suppose, like, they had a couple of friends that were like their cool friends, you know. Like if I go through my parents' vinyl now, I'll see Kevin Hanley, who was a good friend of my parents, and his ex-wife Carmel, and you know they were into Neil Young and stuff like that, and knew how to play it. And my dad was a big Stones fan. My mum was into Guy Clark, that kind of stuff.
Guy Clark's brilliant, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Townes Van Zandt in there.
All that stuff, yeah. And then when my brother was, I think, 12, he was playing an exhibition game of rugby in the sports ground in Galway before the All Blacks, and he tore his ligaments in I don't know, one of his legs, and his foot was in a cast for a few weeks, and what was my sister's guitar became my brother's guitar.
Yes. And
you know, when the cast came off, he was never going to be a rugby player after that. He was a musician, and and my folks, I suppose, were just very encouraging of that. And and then I suppose as I got older, I started to get into music myself, and I was in a band when I was 16. And so like I suppose I grew up in a house that like encouraged
What was your band
music.
name in 16?
We were called Hershey Bare.
Hershey Bare.
Yeah, BARE.
Okay.
After, in 16-year-old fashion, we went to see the Judge Dredd movie that I think Sylvester Stallone was in.
The Stallone one, yeah. Where he took off his helmet the whole time.
A forgotten gem. And the Judge Hershey was played by a woman called Diane Lane, and I suppose we liked the look of her.
Yes.
You know, it was, you know, I think, I don't know, it was just one of those things that only we got, but you know.
I mean, every 16-year-old's band name is just what they get.
Yeah.
But that's the best. I mean, my favorite band names are 16-year-olds band names. They're they're always they're funny. They're always great, like, you know.
Yeah. So, and you know, like, we were just like, I suppose Tuam was the kind of place, there was venues we could play. You know, we had a shed that my parents were just like, go in there, make a racket. And so I suppose without being musicians themselves, our parents very much encouraged us to kind of explore that, you know.
And was Tuam, what year was this, say, so when you were teens?
16, around the mid-90s, around 95.
And what are the good venues in Tuam then around that time?
Well,
where did you play as 16-year-olds? They're
all gone now. The Sportsman's was one. We did, where else? I think we did a gig in the Mall Theatre Cinema. We did a gig in the Park, open air. That was good old crack. God bless the Lions Club. I got a girlfriend out of that gig, you know. So that's important stuff when you're, you know, 16, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, he's played the Park. He's played the Park, girls, you know.
In Tuam.
Did you start writing? Were you writing your own stuff then?
Yeah, we wrote. We did write our own songs. Not a load of them. I think we brought out a cassette with like four songs on it.
Not bad.
When we were kids, and I was writing lyrics then, very earnest, inspired by, like, you know, cheery stuff like Radiohead and Smashing Pumpkins. And
would have you been the primary writer in the band?
I was the primary songwriter, lyric writer, and then the other lads in the band came up with the riffs and all that, and the intricate stuff. But I wasn't especially prolific, and I'd say it was probably only really in my late 20s that I started writing again and started writing in earnest. Yeah. You know.
And so you were a guitar player, yes?
A singer.
A singer. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's your brother plays guitar.
Yeah. My
Okay.
brother and my friends. I had I kind of took up a terrible habit when I was 16 of kind of gravitating towards people that knew how to play the guitar and being like, well, I can be the singer.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah.
you're one of those guys.
Yeah. I'm still one of those guys. You know,
Our problem was always we could never find a singer, so we all had to like figure it out how to do it because we all wanted to play guitar and shit.
Yeah.
So we're like, fuck, we just got to figure out how to fucking sing now. You know, we had one singer. My buddy Derek Conway, he was a good singer, but you know, you need more people to sing as well, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good way of doing it, to get out of playing an instrument, you know.
Yeah.
What was the idea of Galway to guys that were playing music in Tuam? Was it an accessible place when you're in your teens trying to get gigs in Galway?
Not really. I mean, because we were young, you know. We weren't old enough to play in pubs.
Really?
And
They
we
wouldn't let you
weren't like. Well, we could have. We did in Tuam, you know.
Yeah.
But we couldn't really go hustling up kind of gigs in Galway. So that wasn't something we did, and we were all in school and kind of academically minded for the most part. So
Yeah.
we didn't want to be kind of and we wouldn't have been allowed to be played in the Roisin Dove on a Thursday night, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But your dad has to pick us up afterwards.
Yeah.
So then did you leave Tuam behind then to go off to college then when you finished up?
Well, yeah. You know, like I God, you know, it seems like a fairy tale now with the way accommodation is gone. But you know, when I was 18, you were, you know, like it was relatively affordable to move into a house with your friends and pay rent.
Yeah.
And you live in Galway, and of course you'd kind of run at that opportunity, I think, and I think it's important when you're 18 to kind of learn how to live with other people and learn how to, you know, live with your friends and not burn your dinner and all that, you know.
Yeah. Couldn't agree
But
more.
Burn their dinner though. Always burn their dinner.
But you know, Richie, you never leave Tuam behind. It's
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's
never.
always there with
My
you.
God.
Wow.
You know, I'm allowed to give out about the place, but you know.
I don't know when I've last been to Tuam, actually. I can't remember.
I've never been out in a night out in it, actually.
No, we should go out tonight.
Come on.
That'd be good fun.
Come on this Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you
Fuck,
got?
I'll
I've
be
been there
alone.
for a match and stuff. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
What you got? Just when you're talking about accommodation there, what how much rent did you pay in the first house you lived in?
Oh God, I don't know, maybe 50 euros a week or something like that.
I think I was paying 60 a week.
Yeah.
50 or 60 a week.
Yeah, I think we were 75 when we moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, Jesus Christ.
I know.
What would that get you now?
Nothing.
Like
nothing.
a bucket to
Get you
spit in,
fuck
maybe,
off.
like, you know?
Yeah. You know, like my nephew now is in college, and he's commuting, you know, getting the bus, and so are most of his friends. And you know, it's going well and all, but like, gee, my God, part of being 18 and going into first year in college is just being let loose and going to Lubas.
Wrecking the place.
It's far too sensible to be, you know.
Yeah, but you
Going home every evening, you're not commuting, you're not paying a mortgage. You know.
There's gonna be a generation of people who are not pissheads.
Well, even, you know, in all seriousness, it's going to be a generation of people that don't know how to live independently, you know, that are probably living with their parents till they're 25, 26, till whatever they finish.
And to no fault of their own.
Yeah.
But that's it. That is a huge, I mean, as much crack as it is and as much development, it is about living independently and by, you know.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. You have to, you know, cook for yourself 3 square meals a day.
Yeah.
Try and get, you know.
Dry out the tea bags.
Yeah.
To be reused.
Yeah. Jeez.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah. I don't really want to
You did it?
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about all the things we got up to trying to survive when we were younger, like, you know, because it's just ridiculous. Some of the
I
stuff
never
we
did
did.
that, but Eamon Healy told me he did that.
Yeah, but you, like, you know, burning furniture for, you know that
Burning furniture, yeah, that's happened.
you know that really bad winter that we had, you know, when all the pipes, you know, first
Like recently,
froze and then
like
they expanded.
Like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably it's probably more than that now. Jesus, 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, I wasn't here.
You know, just burning timber that you'd find around the house, and like pallets that you'd bring up and stuff like that.
Wow.
It's grim days.
Well, they're only going to get worse.
Yeah. But everybody's living at home with their mammy, so they don't have to worry about that at least. So what did you go to college for?
I did a degree in English and French. So I loved English. I mean, I did from a young age.
Yeah.
And then to be, to be in first year at the English department, just doing stuff like Ginsberg and, learning about the Beats. I mean, I kind of knew something about them because I was into Bob Dylan and the Doors and stuff like that. Dylan, a massive, I could spend the hour talking about him,
Him and Ginsberg were good friends, weren't they?
Yeah. And one kind of led to the other and influenced the other. And Ginsberg is in like that Scorsese documentary. So like, I loved it. I mean, I found French more of a challenge, and could have put a bit more work into it. But like, I loved English, and like getting into like stuff like Zora Neale Hurston, that Alice Walker, like even realizing what wasn't for you. You like Sir Gawain and the Canterbury Tales, and but you still had to study it.
Did Melville ever get you? Did you like Moby Dick?
Nah, I never really, I never really gravitated towards that. I think my tastes, and still are, well, I love Shakespeare, but my tastes are mostly 20th century.
Okay.
Depressing, sometimes depressing stuff.
Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy.
Oh yeah, I wish I'd studied that. What a he's a new book out. So I must dig that out. He's amazing. Great. Like
I think all the Americans say Cormac. I think they say Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah,
just Cormac,
Cormac. I know, it rolls off our tongue a bit easier, I'm sure they're studying him now. I hope they are.
Well, Blood Meridian, I think, was the whole idea of the great American novel. I think it's considered that in the 80s. I think it was released in the 80s. So you would assume they're studying him. He's brilliant. Cormac McCarthy's fantastic. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Very dark, very nihilistic, but also there's such a love for letters in it as well, or words themselves.
Yeah.
He's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, The Road is like, when you describe the story for, post-apocalyptic cannibalism, it is quite depressing, but at its root there's a father and son relationship, which is quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his way of kind of reflecting on fatherhood, and I'd much rather read that than something kind of soppy and gushing.
Of course.
Like, what a way to relate to your son. I wrote you this book. Oh, thanks, Dad. Oh my God.
It's bloody terrifying.
Yeah.
I find that
the part when they go below.
Yeah.
When they go into the cellar.
God.
Yeah.
That always stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I think I read that book. I think I read it in a day. I think I just sat down and I read it all.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that with very many books.
Absolutely. Amazing guy.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, like, since then, English and, just kind of being an avid reader was just something I got to pursue and keep with me since, that I got to do in college, and I've kind of kept with me, and then I went back in NUI, about 13 years ago to do a master's in writing.
Oh, that was the MA.
Yeah.
But this was in NUIG, isn't it?
You was, yeah.
Or University of Galway.
University of Galway, or whatever now.
What is it? University College UCG, is it?
No, it's University of Galway now.
It'll probably be called something else by the time we're finished.
Yeah, we had this conversation in another episode. What are they called?
We already had this conversation?
The artist formerly known as
We're going to be having a lot of these. I think last podcast we talked about the exact same thing we talked about a previous podcast as well.
Yeah.
But sure, fuck it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Continuity.
but it was since that master's really that I've said, you know, to people if it ever comes up, or what do you do, that I'm a writer, you know, and getting accepted onto that masters and doing that masters kind of gave me the confidence to say, yeah, this is what I do. This is who I am, and this is what I want for my life. You know, it was a great year. You know, like you know, I could have, you know, I don't know. Like it's not. It's one of those masters that it's, you know, it's an artistic pursuit. But I'm glad I did it. You know.
Yeah. So undergrad is English.
Yeah.
And in French, and you're studying other writers, but you know, you're writing essays about books. You know,
Yeah.
you're not. So it's obviously a big jump to do an MA then in writing.
Yeah.
So what are they challenging you to do in the master's program then?
Well, there's, I think over the course of the year you do something like 7 modules, and at the end of the year you have to write a portfolio. So, and then in one of those modules you have to specialise. So you say, right, this is my novel, or this is my play, or this is my screenplay. And there weren't that many contact hours, but you were expected to be writing, to be kind of generating stuff. And then some of the tutors are more involved than others, but the fiction tutor was, and I think still is, Mike McCormick, who wrote an amazing novel called Solar Bones.
That's been turned into a play recently as
yeah,
well,
you know, so to kind of have access to that man's brain was brilliant, you know. But he took an interest. I think he took an interest in all of us and said, well, this is your aesthetic, this is how you write, maybe read this novel and pursue this kind of side of how you write, and work on plot a bit more, and that kind of thing. Yeah, so like you were expected to be writing. It's, you suppose the difference with an MA is that there isn't someone looking over your shoulder, saying, "Oh, you know, what are you doing?" It was like you were expected to be sending in stuff, and on a weekly or whatever, monthly kind of basis, kind of thing. But it was, you know, it was a great year. Like out of that year, we all came together, the 12 of us, I think, that were in the class, and we brought out a book, and I got to read it, Listowel Writers Week.
Oh, great.
And I did a master's class, what would you say, like a master class with an amazing poet called Martina Evans, whose work I still love. But like, I suppose, you know, I had no idea that I'd wanted to do that in the September of the MA, but when the Listowel Writers Week came around, I had the confidence to go, oh no, I want to kind of sit in a room, and I felt confident enough that I could have stuff or write stuff and show it to Martina Evans and go, well, what do you think of that, and this is what I do. And you know, it was a brilliant year, absolutely. So
this is the MA?
Yeah.
It was 1 year?
It was 1 year, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was great.
Is that like do MAs normally go just a year long?
I think they do, for the most part.
Okay.
I suppose you wrap up your MA in a year, and then if you want to, you go on to do a PhD and drive yourself cracked.
Drive yourself cracked. Doctor of words.
Yeah. I have a friend.
Nothing.
I have a good friend who's.
Be sick of him at that point. You wouldn't want to do anything. So many
I know.
words.
I know. I have such respect for people that manage to do doctorates and PhDs, but they all seem to have a moment somewhere along the way where they go mental, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, my missus is PhD, and she was just like, you know, at a certain point, it's just a stress test. How
Yeah.
long you can keep your mind together for and work slog at this for, you know, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5 years, however long it takes you. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But she's Dr. Walsh now.
Woo!
Props.
Dr. Walsh.
All right.
Walsh.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Walsh. She's in the back room there.
She is there, working away.
Working away.
Happy days.
So was it prose that you were working on when you were in the masters, or were
Yeah,
you doing a bit of poetry?
I was doing a bit of both. I was writing short stories. I had a go writing a novel. It didn't work out. But I was writing poems, and the main part of my thesis was a collection of poems. But I suppose I was mostly concentrating on writing poems and fiction.
As far as the novel not working out, what was the why was it not gelling with you?
It's hard. I just stopped kind of believing in it. I think. Mm-hmm. I suppose it takes. For me, I'm not sure. I think. I suppose you have that monkey on your back that's criticizing you. You know?
Of course, yeah.
And the monkey won out in the end.
The monkey always wins. That's what people don't know.
Well, I got there eventually. I did write a book, you know.
Oh well, there you go.
But you know, I suppose I think I feel that I reached a point in my writing where I enjoyed reading novels.
Yes.
More than I did.
Of course.
Writing them, you know.
Yeah.
My God, I love Philip Roth, who was just, I think everybody should tackle at least a book or 5 of his, you know. But I don't know how he did it. It seemed like he had 10 brains that could just access everything, history, impeccable plotting, glorious characters, and it just never came together for me. I mean, who's to say? You know, I might have another go at it again. Yet. That's it.
Me as well.
Yeah,
everyone should try to write something anyway. You know?
Yeah.
So around then, you did win a prize for a short story.
I did, yeah.
You won the Dublin One City One Book Prize.
Yeah,
that was awarded by Joseph O'Connor.
Joseph O'Connor, yeah, that was, I think, was it 2011 that I won that? Yeah, it was. So how that prize works is that they pick a book every year to be the kind of the book of Dublin. And they promote it. The Dublin Library Service promotes it and kind of encourage people to read it. That year it was Joseph O'Connor's book, and they take a line out of the book, a sentence, and you have to incorporate that sentence into your short story. And I wrote a short story called Cool, as in Cool Park, Coole. Mm-hmm. That was about somebody who had broken up with the woman, and Cool Park was a place that they had gone together, and he had gone there by himself to kind of say farewell to the relationship, and had gone to there's a tree
to cool off.
Yeah, there's a tree in Cool Park with Yeats's signature on it, and I think Shaw is there, Lady Gregory, and kind of fortuitously enough, the book that. The Joseph O'Connor book that was the One City One Book that year was called Ghostlight, and it's based around that kind of literary scene that Yeats was part of.
Okay.
So it was kind of my own good luck that Joseph O'Connor read it and went, oh well, you know, it kind of reflects the novel in a way without intended to. I mean, I hadn't even read the book at that stage. So
we won't say that. We won't mention that though.
Well, I don't mind saying it. I did eventually. It's an amazing book. I think it's a really beautifully written book, and it's about Sting and a woman. He is Sting. No. James Sting.
Oh yeah. That's the lad who did the shit out in the
Iron
Islands,
Playboy the Western World, you know.
Yeah.
And a woman he is rumored to have had an affair with, and. Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. Sting, I mean, there's a novel there, I suppose, you know.
Oh, yeah. The breakup with the police.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say that would be a good novel, you know.
Speaking of another good, what do you call it? Immigration song. Sting, The Police, Englishman in New York. Very good one.
Yeah.
I'm an alien.
I'm
you know that one?
Alien. Yeah. That is true.
Sting's always on the mind.
Wasn't that a coffee ad?
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
For Maxwell House
or something like that, and you could just legal alien. He was like, "Oh, I like tea in my coffee" or something like that.
Oh wow.
Maybe that was a dream I had.
God knows.
Probably was a
God
dream.
Knows.
Yeah. That would be such a strange song to use for a coffee ad.
I'm definitely sure that happened.
We need to have someone in the background. Looking shit up.
Verify that at a later time.
Yeah.
Don't podcasts have that?
Yeah. What does
normally
your man Joe Rogan have?
Fuck
man.
Joe Rogan. He can go fuck
What
himself.
does he have? He has some fella he talks in the background, though. He's like,
I've no comment.
Some
No
lad.
comment about Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan go fuck himself.
I went to Mark Maron recently.
Yeah.
What you got up in Vicar Street? Oh God, he pulled the piss out of him. It was amazing. They're very much loggerheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That man is the reason I can't listen to Joni Mitchell on my Spotify machine. So, or Crosby, Stills, Nash, or
Yeah.
David Crosby had some glorious solo albums there recently. They're all gone. Neil Young,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I need my Joni Mitchell fix.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I definitely find you're either a Mark Maron man or you're a Joe Rogan man.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I know which side I fall on. So.
Yeah,
Well, I think everyone knows which side I fall on now. Mark
Good.
Maron's grand as well. I like him.
You fucking should. He's
Yeah.
He's very good. He's very good. Actually, I don't listen to much podcasts though. Like I listen to the Stuff You Should Know crowd. You know them?
I
They
don't.
just talk about fucking things you should know. And then I listen to what's his name? Fucking Conan O'Brien. I like him a lot.
cool.
Just because I like him anyway.
I
'Cause
didn't
he's
know he
fucking
had a
hilarious.
podcast.
Either did I. I like him as well. I have to read that one
I'm
out.
not- what is it called? Conan Needs a Friend. I don't know why he does not need me to plug his fucking podcast. But yeah, there it is. Conan Needs a Friend. It's very
Cool.
good. And a few Magic the Gathering podcasts, but that's about it.
Great.
We're kind of getting off.
And this
topic
one
here.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to this
Yeah,
podcast.
this podcast.
The Shnug.
On
Anyway,
repeat.
back to me and
The
my book.
Shnug.
Yeah. So when you finished up the MA,
Yeah.
you're writing short stories. Did the work as a correspondent for the Connacht Tribune come out of that as well?
Yeah. I wrote for the Tribune for like 12 years.
Did you?
Jesus, wow.
Yeah. So I finished up there, I think about 4 years ago. From the age of from my late 20s just before I turned 40, I think I wrote for the Tribune.
Really?
Yeah. I was the music correspondent.
Yeah.
And that was great in terms of getting published. If I was ever feeling down on myself, kind of, but none of my work is getting published, I'd be like, hold on now,
Yeah.
I getting it,
My name is there.
Yeah. I'm writing whatever 1,000 odd words every week for the Tribune, and that's getting published. So, yeah. So that was great in terms of discipline and getting published. In terms of learning how to edit myself. Really, I mean, I was lucky to have worked under Judy Murphy, who's still there, was the arts editor, still is, but is now the co-editor of the paper.
Okay.
And just learning stuff about style, using the third person, which I found invaluable, really, because I suppose you want your work to have a voice, but also you don't want to dominate it too much. You want the work to be the thing and not you, so that when someone reads you, they're not really getting a sense of, well, this is me telling you how I think. It's like, here's me, here's an article or here's a poem about something, it was great, and I got to I got to talk to some real heroes over the time I was there. Nile Rodgers from Chic, two of the Wainwrights, Martha and Loudon. That was incredible. Chris Stein from Blondie, which was cool, and I forget about that, but my God, Chris Stein co-wrote, Blondie sold in the tens of millions. That was and they're brilliant. So that was great, and I suppose my time there kind of gave me the confidence to know that I was good enough to get published.
So you're working with the Connacht Tribune,
Yeah.
and then are you submitting poetry then to these different reviews and stuff like that at the same time?
Yeah. I would have been submitting poems and short stories over the years. Got published as the Galway Review, the Irish Literary Review, which is an online journal. And you get more no's than you do yes.
Yeah.
But you just kind of have to keep plowing away. Yeah. So I was plugging away. I went through periods that were kind of creatively more prolific than others. But it was only really in the past few years, I mean, during lockdown, that I started really to write more in earnest. And then I realised I have a book. I need to actually put a bit of schmuck, as they say, a bit of discipline on myself, and pull this all together and write a book.
So would you say, say for instance, one of the ones you had for the Galway review was the one about the Galway Film Fleadh?
Yeah.
And would you say that there's a massive technical improvement or difference between the books, the poetry that you were writing back then, and the stuff that that's in the book now?
I'd hope so. Yeah. You do hope that you improve in some ways. Like I'm proud enough with that poem, but I do think that I've progressed since that. But like, I'll always write about Galway. So like, you know, and I love the Fleadh. I just love that time of year. It's like Christmas, really. You know, I'm out and about more. You meet all sorts of people. You know, and one of those nights in the film Fleadh, I bumped into John Cooper Clarke, which was brilliant. You know, class. He was just
Who's
like
that?
John Cooper Clarke.
Yeah.
He's an English poet, and he might be 70 now. Very from Salford in
he's like a punk. He's a punk.
Yeah,
poet.
kind of punk
Oh.
poet. You see him now a lot on 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown.
I
Always
think I've
wearing
heard-
sunglasses.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose England's kind of Ginsberg in a way. England's kind of punk poet.
Yeah.
Like he was out doing performance poetry really before it became this kind of cool chic thing.
Of course,
he was going, right, no, this is what I do. But he was going on tour with Elvis Costello and The Clash, and like opening for them, and
opening for the Prodigy. He did recently.
did he? Yeah. And a massive influence like on the Arctic Monkeys.
Chicken Town. That's one of
Chicken Town. That was in The Sopranos. So. Yeah, but like, I suppose the poems in this book, I hope are the kind of, like, as the whole, I hope they mark a kind of technical progression for me. I got into some writing sonnets and things like that during lockdown, and kind of measuring beats and syllables and all that kind of thing that maybe I hadn't done so much before. I was coming more from the freeform kind of Ginsberg kind of stuff, which is amazing and all well and good. But I think
giving yourself limits is always great. For
like
pushing through creativity.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like poetry. Hopefully, it is a musical thing, but you know, music has notes, and you know, a guitar has frets, and you need to know the structure of a thing before you kind of start pulling it apart, I think, you know.
So what's your process like then? Or would you describe
Where do you get your ideas?
Huh?
Where do you get your ideas?
Where do you get your ideas? Is it everyday life?
Well, like, I suppose my process would be, so like, I would maybe concentrate on the work of a particular poet, like someone like Cooper Clarke or Wendy Cope, and Seamus Heaney, and go, like, kind of look at, well, what are they doing there, you know? What are they you know, how did they achieve that, to the point of like I'll write out poems by people that I like, you know, physically write them out.
Okay.
And you know,
I think Hunter S. Thompson did that with the Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
He wrote the entire thing out to get the kind of the rhythm of it.
Yeah. You hear people doing that, like Tobias Wolff, I think, as well, where they would write out whole bits of work of Hemingway and stuff like that.
I've never heard of that before.
I suppose it's like learning a song or something, you know? And hopefully that influence seeps in then. And then, like, I suppose, you know, I'll try to dedicate the first part of my day to doing things like that. And either something will come or it won't. But, like, I might find myself kind of about the course of my day, and a line will pop in. And then I'll be like, okay, I got something there. And then the next day I'll either go home and write it down, or you know, if I pull over, write it into my phone, and then come back and then get working at it, you know.
Yeah.
Some poems take longer than others. Some of them just kind of arrive, you know, which is great.
You mentioned Hemingway there. Are you a fan of Hemingway?
I'd like to read more of him than I do. I read quite a bit of A Movable Feast, which was magic.
Funnily, I think that's the one that I haven't read yet.
Yeah.
I have to download it.
Yeah. And, you know, I just admire how kind of bullish he was about his writing.
Yes,
I mean, however he was as a guy, he's another thing. But he, you know, he's admired and kind of extolled as this kind of wild man of literature. But like, he showed up every day. He did it.
Yeah.
He wrote loads, and he wrote these amazing books. You know, he probably brought like attention to something like the Spanish Civil War when, you know, America didn't have a clue about it. Of course, which is, you know, which is amazing. Like, you know, these days we can, you know, we can highlight awareness and go on social media, you know, but like, he went over to Spain and like started doing that kind of thing. So, you know, like, amazing.
Yeah, so he's a man that wrote in a particular time and place.
Hemingway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this book obviously was written in a certain time and place. This was during the lockdown that you wrote a lot of this stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I was lucky to kind of hit a purple patch in during the first lockdown, where
is that like a disease?
Get that looked at.
Got an itch?
But
that's just my purple patch.
and I was just like kind of disciplined about it. I was like, well, you know, I can't do much more besides writing. Yeah. So
you have the perfect excuse to do it. And
and I suppose I started writing a few poems a week, and they were really they really started to come, you know. And I started
drink helps.
What?
Do you find drink helps?
Well, not anymore for me. So
okay. Okay, cool.
But yeah, and I found myself writing poems about you know, about people that I might read one called Proposal.
Yeah,
please do.
Yeah. And I had wanted to write about this for a while, but I wasn't sure how, because it, you know, involves a friend of mine who died, you know, and died young. I mean, he was the same age as me, and it was just but it was kind of an itch I had to scratch, in that, like, you know, I think any artist that I like faces up to things like mortality, and you know, like we accept, or what did you say, we kind of take for granted the fact that we're here, and then when someone isn't, I think I nearly feel kind of duty bound to, or not duty bound, but you know, that compelled, I suppose, to write about things like grief and death. And this is called Proposal, and it's from my self-published first book, After Them. Proposal. Your face did not look like your own. That day was my first in your home. The tie you wore was maroon and white with a thin line of black. We shuffled, queued, and stood back. The assembled sorries were off key, but music was never your thing. You knew the whistle's pitch, its attendant silence. Another world I adore, but am not cut out for. Like this scene, this awful tapestry you left us in. Siblings and cousins I only knew when I stepped inside the bungalow you grew up in. Your mother said my name, sighed it, man, and said it was good to see me. But how could that have been? Your face did not look like your own. That day was my last in your home. Thank you.
Nice.
Cheers, lads.
That's powerful.
Gorgeous.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And
thanks for reading that.
was that a book, or was that a poem that you came easy to you once you started writing it, or was it something that you found more challenge?
I think when the first line came and I realised I wanted to repeat it, it took maybe a couple of days to write the poem, but like putting it to paper took years. Really, I mean, it was years after Shane Giblin. It was the man in question. Years after his death, that I wrote it. You know, but and it was there as something that I was like, as something I wanted to reflect on and mark and stuff like that. You know, I think, I think it's good to get into the nitty gritty of things. You know,
is the title of the book after them kind of a reflection of those themes?
That's a good question. Yeah. I think it is. You know. Okay. Because it's you know, when someone that you know dies, you're never the same after that.
Of course, yeah.
And you're never the same after knowing them, you know.
Yeah, they're always living in there, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The kind of vivid recollection, that 3D thing you have in your head of somebody, you know. And then it also reflects on, you know, other experiences I've had and relationships I've had, and the act of writing in itself is kind of after something. It's rare enough you're describing something that's actually happening, you know.
Yeah.
Although there are a few poems that do that, you know. There's a poem that I'm getting a nice feedback from called "No Music Please." That's about it's at one stage they were trying to open up things, but they decided there'd be no music anywhere.
Yeah.
And Micheál Martin came out with this awful statement of just like nonsensical thing. He said, what has traditionally happened in nightclubs will continue to happen. And I was like, what the hell does he know? I mean, like, you know, like, what the hell does he know, like, about what traditionally happens in nightclubs? He has no idea. He has no business.
Yeah.
And it just infuriated me.
Micheál's never been to a nightclub, I'd say.
I doubt it, you know.
Who's the GAA presenter with the fat head?
Marty Marcy.
He's definitely been in nightclubs.
Absolutely.
100%.
He was in nightclubs this weekend, I'm sure, and probably more than one.
Yeah.
He's the king of them. The king of nightclubs.
Sorry, I'm getting off topic.
You're all good. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I'm gone off on a tangent there now. So, ask me questions.
No, you did it. No, I was just describing it, of course.
So, that one was kind of one that was kind of dwelling within you then for a while. And then you had other poems then that were probably more reactionary, like that one, "No Music Please."
Yeah.
Or, you know, some of your other stuff, maybe like Negatively Shop Street or...
Sure. Yeah.
Was it The Rage?
Yeah.
You know, these are ones that are more recent.
Yeah.
If it's a good way to describe it.
Do you find that poetic Galway is dying? Like Shop Street itself isn't what it used to be, or do you think that's kind of like old man mentality?
I think there's a danger of it dying, you know. And I'll read that poem actually in a couple of minutes. But yeah, that's a good question. I think so. You know, like you know, that there is a danger of Galway of Shop Street just being like a big multinational companies that and nothing else and no character. And
I think the nail in the coffin for me was the Cobblestones. Once they decided to take them out, I was like, that's like Pat Coyne's gone, like Warty Nora's gone. The Cobblestones from the street are gone, and it's the fact so that they don't get sued. It's like, there's no magic left anymore, you know. So like, I feel like I'm getting that kind of vibes from Galway these days.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't get this. Like when I used to stand at the top of Shop Street, I used to look down it and fucking be in tears. I love it so much. Yeah. And now I think about Shop Street, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, you know.
Yeah. You know, and I just, you know, Galway still is just about holding on to this kind of bohemian thing of, you know, music in the streets, and that's really important.
It is extraordinarily important,
you know. And like you mentioned, you know, Nora, who was an amazing character, you know.
Oh, one of the
And
best.
like, you know, I think it's really important that Galway has, you know, these kind of characters and, you know, people that are a bit mad in you know, like, and wild, wandering up and down Shop Street, because otherwise it just becomes bland. And
Yeah,
you know, the thing that people aspire towards in Galway, it's wildness, it's creativity, it's busking, it's artistry.
yes.
That, like, if that gets kind of pasteurized out of the place, then
It's going to be. I think
know.
it already has been.
yeah.
I think that Galway is. I mean, unless it like revives it, I think it's already gone. It's like once the cobblestones are gone, once Pat's gone, once Nora's gone, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. You know.
Well, it's gone for you, for your generation.
For me, yeah.
But for a younger generation, that magic is probably there, but probably.
I hope it is. I sincerely hope it is. That's what I was asking. Does that sound like old man talk? You know, the town that I loved so well. You know,
middle-aged man talk.
Yeah. Yeah, but it just feels that way. Anyway.
Yeah, but so this is Negatively Shop Street.
Okay.
And the poem is dedicated to Edo, who's Aidan Kern, who I'm in a band with, and we started to kind of try and write songs together during lockdown and email and stuff. And this was definitely brought about by that, and definitely inspired by someone like John Cooper Clarke.
Yes.
And also a man called Jinx Lennon, who I would, you know, if I could prescribe Jinx Lennon, I would. I think he's an amazing artist and well worth looking out for. Okay, Negatively Shop Street. You say the words banana bread like it's a revolution. Check your tongue, your verbs are wrong. Man, you need elocution. Where is the Maldron sea salt? Where is the wholemeal flour? The whole world's going gluten-free and getting thicker by the hour. I say the phrase, the printed word, like it's some kind of mantra. The Times looks like a trophy when I'm strutting out of Centra. My t-shirt came from pennies, but my runners are free trade. I'm moving like De Niro in the one where he got made. She woke up in Loughrea, threw her hand across my chest. I just read a novel and forgot about the rest. Her words were an inferno, our cadence were our own, but my dreams were sleeping elsewhere. I awoke from them alone. We say the word community, we like to say collective. No one's looking for your bio, mate, or a fucking retrospective. He got published one time and he never let it go. His clothes would speak of London, but his eyes just saw Furbo. They're gunning for the hipsters. They're gunning for St. Nick's. They're carving up our city, those free market pricks. So put a roof on Shop Street, call it a shopping mall. The planner took a pill once, but he's not your fucking pal. The sign that says atone is written on a crooked line, 'cause the goddess and the guru both know well how to recline. So live your life to meditate, give it up to mediation. The words we use and learn to love just break our concentration.
That's a brilliant one.
Ooh, thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. It's a great poem.
Yeah.
The is the title? I mean, it is. Yeah, it's a reference to Dylan. Yes.
Yeah.
Was it Positively 5th Street? Is it?
It is. Or is it Positively 4th Street?
4th Street.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a restaurant in Charlottesville, Virginia, where I lived. That was
cool.
Named either Positively 4th Street or 5th Street.
Yeah.
So I always get it mixed up.
Okay.
So it's 4th Street. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And I suppose the tone of
Negatively
that
Shop Street.
song is he's being quite. He's kind of looking at people and saying, "Oh, you know, you got a lot of nerve to say you are my friend." I mean, maybe he's looking at the bohemian scene that he was in and kind of keeping it at a remove and saying, "Well, you don't really like. There's a deeper thing going on, you know." I suppose, you know, that there is that concern in the poem of like pasteurizing or homogenizing and just making Shop Street bland. And I think you know, Galway needs to stay daft and mental.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, keep I you know,
keep Galway weird.
yeah, do absolutely, you know. like, and there is great stuff happening. There's Rodney Owl. There's still amazing art.
Rodney Crowell.
I know, no, Rodney Owl.
Owl.
He's it's the stage name of a great songwriter called Mark McConville. I think he's worth getting in. He's brilliant. But you know, and there's Pa Reedy, my favourite busker. He's not on Shop Street anymore. He's on the prom, and you know, the Crane is still there. That
Crane's
bastion of madness, you know, and it's like, you know, you know, even, you know, like, I don't indulge myself anymore, but like, it's so important that we have a city that's, you know, a place that people want to go to and party and hear music and, you know, have the crack, because, you know, there's enough shiny stuff in the world. We need to keep our kind of gritty, grungy, dirty side.
Yeah. Absolutely, completely agree, 100%.
So, what's planned after this? Do you have anything in the pipeline?
I have written a few more poems, so, you know, I suppose the idea is that, like, I'll write some more and write another book, and now that I've written one and crowdfunded it, that I'll do that again. You know, I suppose I feel, and I hope that there's another book there. I mean, I can't say that there is for sure until I have it in my hand. I mean, I felt like that about that book until about a month ago, until I finally got it, even though I knew it was written.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, and yeah, so that's in the pipeline. And yeah, like, I did a gig with the Rolling Stones tribute band, the Strolling Homes, that I'm in recently. So
you're in a Stones tribute band?
Yeah. I'm Jimmy Jagger.
Can you?
So,
are you emulating Jagger?
I try to, you know.
Can you give us a bit of Jagger there?
I do, you know. I put that voice on between songs for the crack, you know.
Yeah. Can you give us a bit of Jagger vocals?
You're putting him on the spot.
I know. You have to put him on the spot.
What's the matter, man? You come around with 12 with some Puerto Rican girls that are down to meet you.
there it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Well done, man.
Yeah. But that you know, that kind of stuff, and yeah, and I suppose I just need to push the book a bit more, send it around to festivals and kind of independent bookshops, and let people know that it's out there, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll push it as much as we
Cool.
can on the podcast. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
So it's available. It's on sale in Charlie Bird's in Galway.
In Charlie's in Galway, in Quinn's shop in Tuam. And you can contact me directly, I suppose. Anybody that's listening to this, I'm on Instagram as Jimi Hair, JimiHair, and you can contact me through that, or, you know, I suppose the podcast, and I can send it out to you as well. But yeah, if you're in Galway, going to Charlie's, pick up a few books while you're in there, you know.
No better spot.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks,
on the
lads.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Levin. Yeah.
Nice one, lads. All right, sure, that's another one done and dusted. Check out the pod.
We're still talking.
Yeah,
Go on the Shnug.
Like on the microphones.
on the microphone.
Okay, all right, cool.
Watch out. Yeah, so check us out on Instagram at the Shnug Podcast. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. That's me.
That's me.
That's Jimmy.
That's me.
All right, lads. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one. Perfect.